We are faced with decisions. Some are small: what to eat, where to go, how to spend an hour of our time. Others are monumental: who to trust, what path to pursue, when to walk away, when to stand firm. But the truth is, no matter how small or large, every decision builds upon the last.
Life is nothing more than the sum of our choices. And when we choose wisely, when we make better decisions, we shape not just our future, but also the values that define who we are as human beings. So why do so many people end up lost, broken, or unfulfilled? It's not because they lack intelligence, opportunity, or even desire.
It's because they allow fear, doubt, or impulse to hijack their decision making. They forget that a better decision isn't about what feels good in the moment. It's about aligning with what matters most in the long run. Better decisions require clarity, courage, and discipline. They demand that we see beyond comfort and convenience.
Choose instead the harder path that leads to growth and fulfillment. Think about integrity. Every better decision is grounded in truth with ourselves and truth with others. When you decide to honor your word, to keep promises, to stand firm in your values even when no one is watching. A decision that builds trust and character. Integrity is the foundation of respect, and without it, every other choice crumbles. Think about responsibility. A better decision doesn't shift blame, it takes ownership. When you decide to own your mistakes instead of hiding them, when you choose to learn instead of complain, you're shaping yourself into someone who is not defined by circumstances, but by strength of character. Responsibility is what transforms failures into stepping stones and challenges into opportunities. Think about empathy. A better decision doesn't only serve you, it serves others. When you pause before speaking harshly, when you choose kindness over judgment, when you decide to understand rather than dismiss, you elevate not just your life, but the lives around you. Human connection is built on the choices we make to listen, to care, and to give. Think about courage. Fear will always whisper reasons to settle, to shrink, to back away.
But a better decision often asks us to face that fear head on, to leave behind the familiar and step into uncertainty, to risk failure in pursuit of something greater. Courageous decisions are the ones that change destinies because they stretch us into becoming who we were meant to be. Think about growth.
Decision is a step away from who you were and a step closer to who you can become. Growth is uncomfortable, sometimes painful, but it is always worth it. When you decide to push past excuses, to invest in yourself, to choose progress over perfection, you plant the seeds for a future far richer than the past you're leaving behind. Remember this: your life will never be defined by one grand moment, but by the pattern of decisions you make day after day. One better decision to forgive, one better decision to stay disciplined, one better decision to love instead of hate, one better decision to believe in yourself when everything tells you not to. If you want to change your life, you don't need to wait for a miracle. You need to start with a choice, because one better decision made today could be the turning point that shapes the rest of your story. The power has always been in your hands. Don't waste it. Most people fail to make better decisions because they are living in a fog of confusion. Instead of reflect, they rush instead of pause, and they allow outside noise to dictate their inner direction. But when you strip away the noise, when you slow down long enough to really ask yourself, what matters most to me? What do I truly value? You begin to create clarity. Clarity is what separates an average choice from a better decision. A decision made in confusion often leads to regret, but a decision made in clarity creates peace, progress, and alignment with who you really are. Clarity comes from honesty. Too often, people lie to themselves to avoid discomfort. They convince themselves they're happy when they're not. They settle for less because they fear failure. They chase things they don't even want just to impress others. A better decision requires the human value of truthfulness, the courage to face yourself without masks or excuses. When you are honest about your desires, your fears, and your limits, your choices naturally align with the life you want to create. Honesty is the first step toward freedom because it clears away the illusions that trap you in cycles of poor decisions. Clarity also demands patience. Impulse is the enemy of wisdom in moments of pressure. It's easy to choose what feels good right now instead of what is right for the future. But patience, the willingness to breathe and reflect, creates space for better decisions. Patience is not weakness, it is strength under control. It is saying, I respect myself enough to wait for the right choice instead of rushing into the wrong one. This human value of patience honors your growth, your integrity, and the future you are building. Clarity requires courage as well. Sometimes deep down, you already know the right decision, but fear gets in the way. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of loss. A better decision means having the courage to step into uncertainty, trusting that alignment with your values will always lead you to a higher path. Courage is not about the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. Every courageous choice sharpens your clarity because it teaches you that fear is temporary, can last a lifetime. Clarity is tied to responsibility. It is easy to hide behind confusion and say, I don't know what to do. But in truth, most people do know. They just don't want to face the consequences of their choices. Taking responsibility for your life means admitting that your future is built on the decisions you make today. When you take ownership, when you refuse to blame others, you step into clarity because you know the direction you choose is yours alone. Responsibility empowers you to move forward with strength and dignity, and that kind of clarity can never be taken from you. Every better decision you will ever make is built upon integrity. Without integrity, choices may look good on the outside, but eventually collapse because they are hollow at the core. Integrity means living in alignment with your values, even when it is inconvenient, even when no one is watching, and even when it costs you something in the short term. It is about honoring your words, staying true to your principles, ensuring that your decisions reflect not only what you want, but also who you are as a human being. The world is full of people who chase shortcuts. They compromise their values for quick success, temporary pleasure. Yet what they fail to realize is that every compromise erodes trust with others and trust with themselves. When you cannot trust yourself to keep your own word, your confidence crumbles. When others cannot trust you, relationships weaken. Better decisions are not just about outcomes. They're about building a character strong enough to sustain those outcomes. That strength comes only from integrity. Integrity requires honesty. It means telling yourself the truth even when it hurts, and telling others the truth even when it risks conflict. Honesty is not always comfortable, but it clears the path for decisions that stand the test of time. A lie might win you a moment, but the truth builds you a lifetime. Every time you choose honesty over deception, you reinforce the foundation upon which all other decisions are made. Integrity also demands responsibility. There will be times when you make mistakes, fall short of your own standards. Integrity does not mean perfection. It means owning those mistakes, learning from them, and moving forward without excuses. When you take responsibility instead of blaming others, you strengthen your character and earn respect. Responsibility is the backbone of integrity because it proves that your decisions are not just about what is easy, but about what is right. Essential value tied to integrity is respect. When you make decisions with integrity, you respect yourself enough not to settle for less than your best. You respect others enough not to use or manipulate them. You respect life itself by aligning your actions with principles that honor growth, love, and fairness. Respect creates harmony between you and the world around you, and it ensures that your decisions add value rather than take it away. Courage is also required to live with integrity. It is easy to bend your values when the pressure is high or when the crowd moves in another direction. But integrity is about standing firm, holding onto your principles even when you stand alone. Courageous decisions may not always be popular, but they are always powerful because they reveal strength of character. When you make decisions rooted in integrity, you are not just choosing for today, you are building a reputation, a legacy, and a life you can be proud of. Every better decision is one that aligns with who you are at the deepest level, and integrity is the compass that makes sure you never lose your way. One of the most powerful choices you can ever make is to take full responsibility for your life. The quality of your decisions improves the moment you stop blaming circumstances, other people, or your past, and instead accept that your future is built by the actions you take today. Responsibility is not a burden, it is freedom. It means you hold the steering wheel of your life, and with every decision you choose the direction you will go. When you accept responsibility, you no longer wait for luck or excuses, you create progress through your own choices. Many people fall into the trap of shifting blame. They point to the economy, their upbringing, as the reason they cannot move forward. But the truth is, while you cannot control every event, you control how you respond to it. Better decisions are born in this understanding that your response is your power. This is the human value of accountability. It teaches you that growth begins when you admit, I am responsible for where I am and I am responsible for where I will go. Responsibility also requires discipline. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It is the result of consistent decisions made with patience and focus. When you discipline yourself to keep promises, to finish what you start, to wake up and do the work even when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you are worthy of trust. Discipline is love in action. It is the decision to value your future more than your present comfort. Every disciplined choice is a seed planted for long-term growth. To grow, you must accept that you will make mistakes. You don't know everything, and that failure is a teacher, not an enemy. When you take responsibility, you stop running from mistakes and start learning from them. Humility allows you to reflect, adjust, and rise stronger than before. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you ask. That shift turns every setback into a stepping stone for growth. Responsibility also brings strength to relationships. When you take ownership of your words and actions, people trust you. They know you are not someone who hides behind excuses or avoids accountability. They see your choices as dependable. Your promises as solid. This builds respect and deepens connections because people can count on you to stand by what you say and do. The greatest gift of responsibility is empowerment. When you recognize that no one else is coming to save you, you stop waiting and start acting. You stop giving away your power to excuses and begin making better decisions that align with your goals and values. This doesn't mean you control everything, but it does mean you control enough to grow, enough to change, enough to transform your life. Responsibility is the soil in which growth takes root, and every time you choose it, you elevate yourself to a higher standard of living. Every decision we make has a ripple effect, touching not only our lives, but also the lives of those around us. Too often, people make choices in isolation, thinking only of themselves and their immediate needs. But a truly better decision considers the broader impact. The ability to step into another person's shoes and see the world through their eyes transforms ordinary decisions into meaningful ones. When empathy guides you, your choices don't just move you forward, they lift others along the way. Empathy begins with awareness. It is taking the time to notice how your words, your tone, actions affect the people you interact with. A careless decision can wound, while a thoughtful one can heal. Choosing empathy means slowing down and asking, how will this affect not only me, but also the people around me? That awareness reflects the human value of compassion, that our shared humanity is more important than personal gain. Better decisions also require kindness. It is easy to choose the path of harshness, to judge quickly, to speak without thinking. But kindness is strength under control. It is the deliberate choice to respond with patience and care. A kind decision may be as simple as listening, forgiving instead of resenting, or encouraging instead of criticizing. These small, empathetic choices create a powerful chain of trust and connection that strengthens relationships over time. Respect is another pillar of empathy. When you respect others, their dignity, their worth, and their unique perspective, this value ensures your decisions are not selfish or manipulative, but rooted in fairness and balance. Respect teaches us that better decisions are not about dominating or winning at the expense of others, creating outcomes where growth and understanding are possible for everyone involved. Empathy also requires humility. It means admitting that your perspective is not the only one, that your way is not the only way. When you choose to listen deeply, to understand before responding, you open yourself to insights you might otherwise miss. Humility allows you to recognize that people carry struggles you may not see, and that your decision could either add to their burden or lighten it. Better choices come from this place of openness and understanding. Courage is often needed to make empathetic decisions as well. It is not always easy to care in a world that celebrates self-interest. Sometimes empathy requires you to go against the grain, to stand up for someone else, or to sacrifice your own comfort for the sake of another's well-being. That kind of courage creates decisions that echo far beyond the moment. They create trust, loyalty, and unity. When empathy guides your choices, not just a better decision for yourself, but a better world for those around you. Every act of compassion, every moment of kindness, every decision rooted in respect becomes a reminder that we are all connected. And when you choose empathy, you make decisions that leave behind not only success, but also love, healing, and hope. Fear is one of the greatest enemies of better decisions. It whispers in our ear, convincing us to stay small, to remain comfortable, to avoid risks that could lead to growth. Fear tells us that failure is final, that judgment is unbearable, and that uncertainty is too dangerous to step into. Yet the truth is, great transformation in life has always been born from courage, the decision to act in spite of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the refusal to let fear control your choices. Every time you allow fear to dictate your decisions, you trade long-term growth for short-term comfort. You avoid opportunities, silence your voice, walk away from challenges that could shape your future. But when you choose courage, when you decide to step into the unknown, you give yourself permission to grow into the person you were meant to be. Courage is the value that turns hesitation into action and dreams into reality. Courage also requires faith, is believing in possibilities even when there are no guarantees. It is trusting that your effort, your integrity, and your resilience will carry you forward even if the outcome is uncertain. Faith allows you to take steps that fear insists are impossible. When you hold faith in yourself and in something greater than yourself, you create the inner strength to keep choosing courage no matter how heavy the fear feels. Resilience is another value tied to courage. Making courageous decisions does not mean you will always succeed on the first attempt. It means you are willing to face setbacks and rise again. Resilience transforms failures into stepping stones, showing you that each fall is not the end but part of the process. With resilience, you stop avoiding risks because of fear of falling and instead embrace them as opportunities to become stronger. Courage also carries responsibility. To choose courage is to accept that the path will not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. It means owning the risks as well as the rewards, knowing that even if you stumble, the act of trying was itself a victory. Responsibility and courage says, I will not let fear make my decisions for me. I will take ownership of my choices, my risks. That level of accountability strengthens your character and builds unshakable self-respect. Dimension of courage is integrity. Fear often tempts us to betray our values for safety, to stay silent when we should speak, to conform when we should stand firm, or to compromise when we know the truth. But courage rooted in integrity means standing by your principles even when it costs you. These decisions are often the hardest, but they're the ones that create the deepest sense of fulfillment because you chose to honor your truth over your fear. Courage is the bridge between fear and freedom. Every time you make a decision with courage, free from the limits fear tries to impose, you expand your possibilities, you build resilience, and you strengthen your faith. Fear shrinks life, courage expands it, and better decisions are always born from the courage to choose growth over comfort, truth over lies, and faith over fear. Of a better decision is not how easy it feels in the moment, but how much it contributes to your growth over time. Too many people make choices based on convenience, choosing what requires the least effort or brings the quickest reward. But the truth is, comfort rarely creates growth. Growth comes from the decisions that stretch you and force you to evolve beyond who you were yesterday. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you are investing in the future version of yourself. Growth requires perseverance. The path of progress is rarely smooth, and better decisions often demand patience and resilience. It means staying disciplined even when results don't come quickly. It means holding on to your vision when distractions try to pull you away. Perseverance is the value that transforms difficult decisions into long-term breakthroughs. It reminds you that what feels heavy today is shaping the strength you will carry tomorrow. Humility is also essential for growth. A better decision is not about protecting your ego, but about being willing to learn, to fail, and to be shaped by the lessons life offers. Humility allows you to accept feedback, admit mistakes, and recognize that you are always a work in progress. When you make decisions with humility, you free yourself from the need to be perfect and open yourself to the opportunities that only come when you are teachable. Self-belief plays a powerful role in growth-oriented decisions. Too often people limit themselves because they don't believe they are capable of more. They settle for less, choosing safe decisions instead of daring ones. But believing in your potential gives you the courage to aim higher, to step into opportunities that once felt out of reach. Every better decision you make with self-belief plants seeds of confidence that grow stronger with time. Value that supports growth is discipline. Growth is not the result of one big choice, but the accumulation of small, consistent decisions. Choosing to study instead of scrolling, to exercise instead of making excuses, to save instead of waste. These daily acts of discipline are what expand your capacity and open new doors. Discipline keeps you aligned with your vision, ensuring that each decision moves you closer to who you want to become. Without a sense of direction, it's easy to confuse movement with progress. A better decision is one that aligns with the bigger picture of your life, the values you want to embody, the legacy you want to leave, the person you want to become. Vision turns choices into stepping stones toward a life of meaning and purpose. When you view growth as the goal, every decision becomes an opportunity to rise higher. Even setbacks become lessons, even challenges become teachers. Better decisions are not always the easiest or the fastest, but they are the ones that ensure you are moving forward, expanding your potential, and becoming more than you were yesterday. And that is the true reward of growth, not just achieving more, but becoming more. At the end of the day, your life is nothing more than a reflection of the decisions you make. Every choice, whether small or great, builds the person you are becoming. When you choose clarity, you break free from confusion. Instead, you earn trust and respect. When you take responsibility, you create growth out of every challenge. When you act with empathy, you strengthen human connection. When you choose courage, you silence fear and unlock new possibilities. And when you make growth your ultimate goal, move closer every day to the life you are destined to live. Better decisions are not reserved for a lucky few. They are available to you right now. In this very moment, you have the power to shift your direction, to change your story, to step into a higher version of yourself. Do not underestimate the impact of a single choice. One decision to be honest, one decision to be responsible,
One decision to grow. These are the turning points that shape destiny. So the question is no longer, can I? The real question is, will you make the better decision when it matters most? Will you choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong? Will you rise above fear, excuses, and doubt to become the person you know you were meant to be? Your future is waiting, and it is built on the choices you make today. Do not delay. Do not wait for permission. The power is in your hands. Make the better decision now. Let it be the moment your entire life begins to change.